Motion to open the planning board meeting Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 at 7:05.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, for the agenda tonight, I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna look for a motion if we could get 895 Salem Street, it's a minor mod request, change it. So if I have a
So motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, representatives for 895 Salem Street,
Yes.
Yeah. pitch us.
So we had two small changes, one of which we had islands proposed in front of both buildings. And Rob decided on his, he would like to replace it with 2 parking spots. And I think our engineer has given proof that it shouldn't change anything up and everything should meet the code. And then another mod is just to remove the 4 maple trees that we had on the site, 2 of which I believe are in front of my building in the island. And we decided not to just because it might wreck the pavement later on, and we feel that it's a better view pulling in and out of the site for safety and just for the buildings as well. So, and those are things you see after you build it, it looks different on paper. So those are the 2 things that we decided we'd like to see if we could change up.
So just so you guys know, I did go down the site and visit it, and because we always talk about line of sight, and it's on an inside of the curve, when you're heading, east on Salem towards the Post, go towards Salem Street, 97. I agree with pulling the trees out of it. Maybe put 1 or 2 trees on the side if they could get it.
Yeah, we can put them on the sides if you
I
want.
don't think there's need for more than maybe 1 on each side. We did put Mr. Daniels put in a flagpole. I'd rather say flagpole on a tree anyway. That's why we built it. So, very well stones there. And he's got 1 island in and quite the planting bed. So, where I have a couple of tight sites, I can, it's gonna be a tough one to plow to get snow.
My only question would be, on number 1, it says the fire truck circulation appears to be maintained. Has the chief been notified, the fire department notified to verify that, to make sure that
I'm not sure, the engineer ran whatever
Fire truck
calculation they ran.
So when they first came to the board, it was all these fire trucks put into the plan. So this is just a basic insubstantial modification.
Nothing.
Well, that's the reason why I mention it is because it does, your engineer makes mention of it, as well as our TEC engineer says the applicant should provide an updated vehicle turning plan showing that this will not cause a problem. So that's the reason, being that you guys spelled it out and our engineering, it's something I'd like to just make sure that that's.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure that gets done.
Other than that, I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have just so we have it in the final file. I'm assuming since we're taking that island out,
Right, you'd be a lot easier.
Absolutely.
If we get more access, you have more access.
You would assume, absolutely, I would assume that as well.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be good to have.
But when it says appears to be maintained on your side, and then as well as our engineering says it doesn't seem to be, I just want to make sure, especially with the chief, right? Emergency response would be most important.
So let's take anybody want to make a motion? So when they,
Could I just make a quick note? Our parking bylaw states in section 6.2, or sorry, no, that's section 9.3J, parking areas containing over 20 spaces shall have at least 1 shade tree per 8 parking spaces. Where a sidewalk above the parking area, that doesn't impact, but by fully eliminating those trees, which were supposed to be, the 1 shade tree per 8 parking spaces, that is what you are agreeing to do without it per our bylaw, just so that the board understands fully that it's more so waiver than.
Can we have the contingency that the tree gets replanted on the side of the lot, so that it's still there, but it's not impacting line of sight or?
That's a determination the board can make. I'm just making sure that.
But that would keep in the spirit of them.
If the board finds it as such, I just think that it needs to be noted that this specific section of the bylaw should be noted in any decision that the board makes.
Can I ask a question? We just went through another waiver procedure where there were specific questions that had to be gone through and answered.
Yeah,
Is there a similar situation here or not?
no, because I would, this doesn't trigger a special permit for parking. Like this isn't the same situation.
I
I would-
understand. but not-
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from too. That's a good question.
We don't wanna go back to that.
No, absolutely. Because if you were to do away with the trees, I think it could potentially get to that point. Because you're granting a full waiver from a section of our bylaw.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if in the motion, we say with contingency that the shade trees get removed from where they were intended in the plan, but we move to another section of the lot, would that still suffice with the bylaw, so that wouldn't be a waiver from the bylaw, correct?
My interpretation of it would be in line with your thinking.
Bylaw is just a quantity, it doesn't specify.
So, yeah, you don't put it in the middle of the top one.
That's my interpretation of it as well.
Could you put the shade trees?
We can put them off to the side.
Yeah, that's plenty of-
No problem.
Yeah.
And I would say because you're setting a precedent, if we remove them completely, then we're setting a precedent that we can remove 4 trees based on our
Yeah,
bylaws, so I think the trees should stay not in that location, but in a different, if they're doable in another location.
Sure.
Makes it much easier.
So we'll say what, a 2-inch, 1.5 to 2-inch caliber tree.
Yeah, I think the same type of trees that were in the initial plan, just in a different location. So, I'll make a motion to approve the minor modification request for 895 Salem Street with the contingencies that the updated turn radius, map is added into the file, and that the trees that will be removed from the original location as marked on the plot plan are being planted elsewhere on the plot to maintain with, road and bylaws.
And just,
Fire chief, sorry. And the fire chief approves the turn radius. I think he will have to.
You guys are good with that?
yeah, no problem.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Looks good over there.
Thank you.
Very nice. I'll do a quick look.
Okay. Public hearing, new application for 4 Federal Way, planning board shall hold a public meeting. A public hearing on the application made by MTC Mechanical Company, Inc. for the premise located at 4 Federal Way, map 49, lot 005-2, located in the industrial high special permit for the diesel generator in the aquifer protection area, zone 2, section 50, 6.2 GE of the Groveland zoning bylaw. I believe that was the engineer.
Yeah, for the record, Brian Goodrow with Hancock Associates, along with John Riley, also with Hancock Associates, on behalf of MTC Mechanical, who are the electrical contractors for Comcast, the property owner. We're here for you this evening for a special permit for the aquifer protection zone, specific to the diesel generators. So Comcast had identified this property for capital improvements. They're upgrading a lot of the internals, telecommunications equipment, electronics, the whatnot inside the building. And as a part of that, they are upgrading the generator backup for it. The overarching question, why diesel? Comcast has determined across all of its facilities that they're switching to diesel generators to allow them to control leak going, essentially. If you remember a few years ago, the issue that Columbia had, locally, Lawrence, Andover, they turned off gas to the entire communities. Comcast doesn't want to be in a position like that again, where they no longer have backup power. And basically all of their facilities are now diesel generators. Outside of that, we did just give you revised plans. So I'm gonna run through the revised plan quickly. The building is located kind of in the center of the parcel here. There's a parking lot in the front. The front of the site slopes down to Federal. The back of the site slopes off-site towards kind of the wetland area. There's an existing generator, or historically where the generator was, to the right-hand side of the building. The original plan was replacing the generator in its current location, along with a secondary generator directly behind it. We had some initial feedback from the zoning compliance officer that the generators had to adhere to yard setbacks. So what we've done is we've shifted the two generators to behind the building to be able to respect those yard setbacks, so we wouldn't have to go before the ZBA and attempt to receive a variance. Additionally, there's an existing fence that surrounds kind of the right-hand side. We're expanding that fence around basically the back portion of the building and encompassing the left-hand side as well. On the left-hand side, there will be a condenser pad, the two generators behind the building, and then we looked at stormwater. Right now, there's a catch basin in the parking lot up at the front that discharges to a small, it's not an infiltration basin, it's more of a forebay, and then it goes into closed drainage in Federal Way. None of that is being impacted. What we are proposing is to pick up the roof runoff and any runoff from the fenced-in area and have it go to an infiltration trench. The infiltration trench is sized for all of the impervious area on the site, and the calculations are provided in the memo. One thing to note there, with the wetland offsite in the back is digitized from GIS. Our previous plan, we weren't really affecting the 100-foot buffer. With this plan, we are, so we do recognize that we'll have to go for conservation. We're kind of working out whether that's RDA or notice of intent territory, but that will be a second piece of permitting following the planning board.
I can tell you it's gonna be an RDA. I'm also the conservation agent.
That answers that question. So we'll be filing an RDA with the Conservation Commission for this work here.
So that's just a stone trench.
It's just a stone trench, yep, that's been sized based on a contributory area. Also part of the original package, there's a spill prevention, control and countermeasure plan. It's a draft plan that Comcast issued for all of their facilities. I believe it's federally required based on the size of the diesel tank, the diesel tanks that are there. And there was also a comment from the fire department saying that there was a fuel storage tank permit with the department. Comcast is aware and will obviously file for that currently building permits. And with that, happy to answer any questions. There's a double wall tank with an alarm system. There's no actual containment outside of that. That's the point of the second wall in the tank.
Levi zone to aquifer, concrete pads,
Concrete pads under the generators.
and no poly into the pan.
We can do that. I don't know if we have spec'd yet.
Was there any thought given to propane over diesel?
There was, but the determination company wanted this diesel.
So, without total containment limits. That's about the best we can do, to no poly into the concrete pads, because the driver just connects a couple spots, yeah. See for that, folks that want, any affordable skills,
Speak up.
Well, any
Sorry.
reportable spills, usually about 10 gallons of over. And this is all gonna be by inspection for our services. Brian Belfiore, is he still
I believe,
he was our last.
it was not Dalton, I believe, is Jeff Dalton is.
Okay.
They're doing it
Replace
together now.
So it all have to be, permitted to the fire department, and they have their own rules. And I don't think we can vote tonight either, because we're gonna need 4 out of, we're gonna need, 4 for special permit.
Yeah, understood. Amy and I spoke before the meeting and we'll be continuing this evening.
One of us had a
The next
confused
one.
himself.
Yep.
So, any other questions, though, so we can,
Well, I mean, that's not a question, so much as a comment. I mean, I think that's noted by for people from the town communications as well, that I'm not crazy that diesel that close to 2 out. And also, just easily to channel it, we might have to go areas with some of the self-power issues, which is just a problem. That we've gone through this recently, down at the Pines.
Right.
A lot of generator.
Well, Pines is also in that 200-foot river act, you know, so that's what that fellow, we like your.
Right.
Right, and even though, you know, Comcast can submit their, you know, here's our containment plan or emergency action plan, if something has happened, but if something has happened, what's the response time, just thinking, you know, listen, they're not in town, who's gonna come, how fast is it?
Fire department will have to come to any responses. So if there's a spill, it's immediately affected to the fire department. A double wall tank's been out last year and a half.
Sorry. Just speak up. I'm sorry. It's just kind
As long as I
of
can.
not very difficult.
Double wall tank, I have a problem with, and, you know, they'll have to do, you can put in the provisions of the yearly routine inspection for the fire department.
I mean, I'm assuming that would be in the fire department anyways, but require that, so.
That's not, this is permanent. I mean, we would have the ability to,
I mean,
What's that,
we
yeah.
can certainly double down on that.
right,
Certainly will have
Yeah.
this condition.
so. But for now, we'll continue this to, do we have a date?
No, we need to discuss that. So our next, so obviously first and third Tuesday of the month, so that would be Tuesday, September 5th. It's the day after Labor Day. I don't know if folks are away. Oh, DJ doesn't count because he can't be in this. Sorry, DJ.
Come to me,
Obviously, those other two members aren't present, but we do need to continue this to a date and time certain, as we are aware. So again, it would be September 5th or September 19th would be our next meetings in September.
You think you'd have the IDA by September 5th? Probably not.
Would you know? I don't believe it. Would be on the agenda.
So the conservation will decide tomorrow night when their next meeting is. They probably won't meet on the 13th. It's looking more so like it would be on the 27th of September. So I mean, you could,
Following either meeting.
We could do either, so
yeah, you would be following either one based on that
Yeah.
schedule.
My suggestion would be the 5th, and then if the meeting doesn't happen, we just get kicked out to the 19th.
We just need to make sure that we have a quorum for that meeting, because if they don't meet, then they can't then continue it.
I'm here with us.
I'll be here. Sure. Let's leave it there.
Okay,
I'll be here on the 5th.
so
You don't count.
I'll reach out to the other two members to see what their availability is like for that, as well, but if
We have an alternate too.
we do, yeah, he wasn't able, yeah, so if either one of them are able to be present, then it should be no problem.
We could request a 5, or you can go with the 4 out of 5.
I mean, 4 out of 5. I don't think it was 50.
It's an outright, so motion
And
to,
I'll make a motion to continue the application for 4 Federal Way until the September 5th meeting at 7 p.m.
second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Chris.
See you on the 5th. Thank you. Next up. Oakland Terrace, update request for a bond reduction.
Just for the record, everyone knows I had to recuse myself from that last agenda item, so.
Oakland Terrace, we got an update on that, Andy?
Yes, we do. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so just getting myself organized here. Sorry, give me 1 quick second. So
Right?
As the board is aware, Oakland Terrace is off of Salem Street. It's a 3-lot subdivision for a private roadway. One of the mainstay issues that the subdivision has seen is with
today?
stormwater in front of two Oakland Terrace, and one of the basins not functioning properly.
tomorrow.
There were
You get dinner
there was an issue with it not retaining any water, not draining properly. Then it was draining water
What's that?
too well, and so
Oh, good.
Ron's gone back and forth a couple times. And you can see
You feeling
TEC's
stronger?
notes from meetings, comments from residents at Oakland Terrace,
You'll be hitting
and really just a lot of information about kind of what's been going on there. Within your packet, there is also the bond reduction that TEC recommended. Since then, the Jacuzzi's have done a lot of work. But yes, that is kind of where we are at. I know we have residents from Oakland Terrace here who are looking to
This
speak
kid's
with the
throwing
board.
74 in the Little League.
Residents from Oakland, is here. Wanna take your
73.
name and your address, and we'll let you speak first.
What did you say over here?
No, you can. there's
Do you
no-
guys want to just talk about basically this, and then from there we can, because obviously I'm not a engineer, nor am I a expert.
But we are not engineers either, so you know.
So that makes two of us. All right, cool. All right, so Brian Santos, 2 Oakland Terrace. Is that good? All right.
And I'm Lauren Gill, 3 Oakland Terrace.
All right. So some of the things that we've encountered was year one. That was the year of kind of our drought. But then when we did get water into the infiltration system, retention pond, it would just sit there and it wouldn't release within the 72 hours. Since then, they came back out. They put a drainage kind of thing in there, and they basically from there the retention pond was going out of the back of the basin at a really fast rate. Also from that, before everybody came to look at it, the retention pond pipe was lifted, and I want to say roughly about 10,000 gallons shot out the back, and it's eroded my whole backyard from where I put it, some dirt down and leveled it off. And then ever since then, because of the drainage the way it was, has been eroding my backyard, which is going into 3 Oakland Terrace as well.
So there's one up to the front that has the fence.
But you went out the
One
front?
here on the right, and there's one in the back.
I'm in the back.
You're in the back, okay, and you are in,
I'm right in the middle.
okay, right in the middle, okay.
So they came in, they fixed the retention pond. Since then, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. They put some,
This past week.
yeah, this past week. So basically what they did was they made it smaller. So basically it's kind of like a water spigot going down from the ground. And then anything that catches over is supposed to go into the other retention pond. The major storm that we did have, it did work properly like that. But at that point, with all the water coming from every which way, but left, it was all going downhill anyway. So my ask is basically to make sure that the retention pond is working. The retention pond is going to be sent over to us. We're going to be responsible for it, right? So once that's completed, but the retention pond in theory has not worked. So we need to validate that it works. And my ask is that we go through 4 seasons to validate that it does work. Just because weather changes. Not from New England, but I was told that if you don't like the weather, wait a day and it'll change. So from there, that needs to be fixed. The second would be to make sure that the back part of my yard stops eroding. Obviously I was going to put vegetation down, but by then when I walked up from the bright side from doing my pool, that was just installed, I went to put seed down, and that's when the water let out, that they opened the pipe up. And from there, once that's retention pond's fixed, backyard needs to be fixed, and then I'm gonna look at it as the road, as we were all responsible for the road, 1, 2, and 3. All the machinery that has come down at the bottom of the road and at the top of the road, I look at the road as a depreciation value. Every year it depreciates. We've sped up that depreciation value pretty fast with the trucks, with the Bobcats coming in. doing those various things, with the gravel. So my ask would be for the town to reevaluate that, look at it, validate it, that it is correct. So again, at the end of the day, we just want to be complete. We want to have this done with and over with, as much as we like to see the Duhus, we want to just
Sure
kind
they're
of,
sick of us.
we just want to have our home and have it work properly.
So let me ask you, who did your yard? Was it you or was it another contractor?
We did my yard.
The backyard, who
The
had it?
backyard, it was the pool company that came in, so basically what they did is when they dug it into the earth, they put it on the back part and just cleaned it
Right.
out. And then from there, and again, it didn't really raise the elevation because all that slopes to the bottom anyway. So it was just kind of like to flatten it off. My idea over there was to put like in above ground garden. But since then, if you look over there, it's like a babbling brook every time it rains now because all that water has washed all away, like all the dirt. So right now, it's all rocks.
So the question would be, was it stabilized?
I never got a chance to stabilize it because the gentleman that came in to open the retention pond lifted it right up. I have it on video. I'd be more than happy to show you. I was literally on the right-hand side, seating the right-hand side where my pool was, because I just got that level. And then literally as soon as I walk out, as my pool guys were leaving, that got lifted and it shot out a 50-pound bale of hay like it was nothing.
How do you lift a detention pond?
You lift the plastic piece that's around, and it's like, it basically just funnels down and shoots out.
The water wasn't high enough to hit that PVC, you're talking that PVC pipe.
Yes, so that PVC
You pulled it
pipe
out of the
itself.
ground and it just.
Yeah, so
That wasn't.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, I think it's 18 inches above the ground or whatever, it has to hit that certain point before it overflows and it
Correct.
goes in that pipe.
yes.
There's water in that pond. They wanted to
Yes.
remove the water, so they took the pipe out so it would clear.
Correct.
And you had that entire flow coming.
So they could work on the pond.
Is that so they could work on it? What was it?
I was told that it was a mistake and never should have happened.
I could explain a little bit more than that. Probably shouldn't have let as much water come out as he did, but it was, I'm Dana DeHulu Homes. It was, Jay DeBidowitz, owns the excavation company that did all the excavation there. And the complaint was that the pond was not, the water was not going down in the pond, it was sitting there. So he went over and lifted that to show, and also to show the way it worked. And what it does is it goes through this pipe, it goes under the ground, it comes out on the other side and then drains to the back. They really had never seen it work because we had such dry weather the whole year they lived there. So you always saying there's never any water there, there's never. So he lifted that to show this is how this pond works. Granted, he should have stopped it and not let as much water go out as it did, but it's over. It did happen. After that happened, we did one change to it where they put it in a perforated pipe to try to have the water go out quicker. It went out too quick. It didn't work. That was what we did try. And it went out too fast. So we have since done another alteration last week. It's all on your as-built. It shows exactly what was done. And it's now coming out at a slower pace and appears to be working properly. We had that large rain on Friday. The pond did fill up. By Sunday, the pond was empty. So it appears that it's working properly right now. I'm sure you're gonna wanna see another, rain event to see that it
We're
works.
gonna get another wrench or more Friday.
Yeah, well, big surprise.
Well, I want, Bill's actually here, he is the engineer,
Yes,
right, so everything is done. Or there's still more to it.
so if you look at the estimate from Tech, who went through everything, for the bond.
The one dated July 17th, correct?
This is from July 17th, yeah.
I accidentally put the June 6th one in your meeting packet. I just handed you the July 17th one.
So we just want the July 17th, we don't want
That's the most recent one. And so in here, he stated that, there were some areas that he didn't think had enough growth, some loam and seed. He's holding money again for that. He is suggesting that you hold all the money for that one basin reconstruction that we just completed. That's what that money is. And then, the erosion control, that's already been taken care of, but, so if you look at his site estimate, he is still, at this point, was saying to hold the funds for the reconstruction of that basin, because it hadn't been done. So, we understand it just got done last week.
The fact that it worked, what do we get, 4.5,
I didn't see any of
less
those.
than an hour?
So I think
was pretty intense.
it was even more than that. It
That was pretty wild.
I mean, as we all know, we've had unbelievable rain conditions this season.
No, I know.
I believe with stormwater regs, up to 7 inches over a 48-hour.
A 100-year storm is 7 inches over 24 hours, and that's the most.
Yeah, we're getting
time.
hit with like
Getting hit with 7 inches in like an hour.
an hour. So, you know, despite, well, it is, and these basins in stormwater management, you know, are made according to stormwater regs, which says up to 7 inches over a 24-hour period.
And that's the Mass State Stormwater Handbook.
Correct. So, you know, if we have a rain event 10 inches in 2 hours and things fail, it isn't really on the engineer or. the
No, and then there's no-
No, I'm just like, you know.
Yeah, there's no blame on the big storm because there's other videos that I have showing it doing the same thing. So it's still running off from when they let the pipe out, that the water found a way to go down. And ever since that, from that basin until the infiltration system was fixed, when they dug it, has been going down the same direction ever since eroding.
And I think I just want to speak to, because I'm in 3, so it's going through his yard, going under the fence, and then settling in my yard, a spot that we actually just cut down a bunch of trees because we were flattening it out and we were going to put something there. And so it was funny, we got the trees cut and then like the next week, the thing got pulled and it was wild. We spent all this money. And now we actually have a pond in our yard. So like the water is just sort of settled there. So it's not usable anymore. It's like a marsh essentially. So not ideal.
So what,
Where is it supposed to go? Just.
So
it's going,
at
it's
the
going,
end of the day,
it's going there now,
the
right?
infiltration system is supposed to fill up, and then it's supposed to go across my driveway, and then it's supposed to fill up the other retention pond, and by then, those two green things meet, and then they start going down. So in the storm, when we had that large storm, that's what happened. There's no way of controlling that just because of the amount of water that was coming down and everything kind of was just going in circles. So the other storms that we've had, because of the infiltration system was not working correctly, because when they dug in, they put a lot of holes in there, and it was basically a big pipe, and it's like, I don't know, like taking a 5-gallon bucket and just pouring it nonstop. That's the amount of water that was coming up from there. So that has been rectified, I hope, it's been fixed. So
That's the
now,
perforated duct pipe. When you perforated the pipe, that's what caused too fast of a flow. Now
drainage was too fast.
now
Soils were too
you've
good.
changed that back to the original.
Well,
Made a
what we did is
modification.
it still has the perforated pipe. We took a section, I think it's 2 or 3 feet section of the perforated pipe, put a solid pipe in, connected them together, sealed off the entrance into the outlet structure, and then capped it with a smaller hole. So it basically it was intended to be a wick drain, just to kind of drain it. Once it's full, rain stops, it's supposed to drain down. What was happening is it was full, it was draining down to a point, and it wasn't draining the whole way. So that wick drain was supposed to let it filter through the soil into that stone and the perforated pipe and then drain the rest of the way so it ends up dry in 72 hours. It's doing it now in about 48 hours or maybe a little less. But on Friday at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, right after that rainstorm ended, it was full. I took a picture of it. I mean, I showed
I was gonna
it.
say, last 2 weeks, we've
On
had
Sunday at noontime, 48 hours later, it was dry. So. I
both
didn't
those
see it on
storms,
Saturday.
did it drain the proper way or just the one because they just did it last
They
week?
just did it last week, so that one.
Yeah.
It was just the one. We only have the one.
I have the as-built up on the shared screen now, so we can.
And as far as the drain is going down the side, it was always intended to see the swale. It was always intended to go down through here, and there's a low spot over there, like what they said, it's supposed to go out to the wetland, which is behind here. That's the way it was always designed to do, and
Where
the natural flow
Where
of
it's
the,
coming out though isn't wetlands, because I have the posts in my yard, it's coming out in my actual,
right, it's
essentially
still-
like
it's still
front
a
yard.
swale, it's still a natural drainage pattern that was there before we built the house.
I mean, it can go through your yard to get to the
To get to the
wetlands,
wetland.
but if it's not going to the
It doesn't
wetlands,
get-
if it's puddled, you're saying it's puddled before the wetlands and because the grade might be, I don't know. Right,
I was out there, I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Anywhere.
And, didn't we talk about like doing a little drain in front of their house and bringing it out to the wetland? Because If I remember correctly, the walkway,
We did,
Yeah.
so we
We
did
asked
that.
that question for.
I know, I was thinking, so the Duluth did do that. So in my front yard,
then
They
that,
added-
so you got no water in the front yard.
I still do, but it's controlled by thunder, not
Well,
water.
the problem is because all your water flows your way and it swales and it's supposed to go to
It
the
all
wetland.
comes down our driveway across. So some goes through the
That's
pipe, some
the
goes.
right side of the
Yeah,
house.
that's the
That's
right
the right
side. That's
side.
like all the driveway water runoff. That was causing that. This is over the whole other side.
So yes, in theory, the conversation was to bring that pipe all the way out to the wetland, so if there's any drainage, that it's gonna go there, because that drainage system plus all the water, because everything's at a slope from 735 Salem Street until 3 Oakland, all goes down and it all comes down that way. It all goes down the road, it all goes down the driveway, the water finds its way to go down that way.
Where's the high water mark on these? Do you remember?
On the ponds or on the
No, on the soil test.
soil tests,
You guys have water in your basement?
I honestly,
I don't know.
Where's the high water mark now? I mean, this is like unprecedented stuff.
This is the as-built. Just, do you want something else?
no, that's, I mean, the water table varies depending on where you are.
Right.
And these are all 4 feet above the soil test for septic systems, and there was some soil tests done for the infiltration.
Not yet.
And these are 2 feet above the water table.
But the
These are 4
Duluth
feet above the
over
water
a
table,
question.
so
So she's 4 feet above the water table?
the septic tank and septic leach area is 4 feet above the water.
What's her, do you know?
No, down through here, the water table is probably higher because that's much lower in the grade.
Right, right,
And
right.
it's not much higher than the wetlands. The wetlands is probably a foot or two lower than this area. The whole area, the whole lot drained this way originally. That's why we kept it going the same way. It's,
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of my initial concerns is that if the water was meant to drain that way, fine. But if it's not making it out to where it was intended to go, if it's settling in your yard, I would not consider that working properly.
well, I think what they're seeing is probably these large events where you have a lot of the flow. I mean, that was, like, they mimicked almost a 100-year storm in literally an hour, which is not normally what you see. 98% of all storms are less than 2 inches of rain for 24 hours. So that's not even a design. We designed for the smallest storm we designed for is 3.2 inches of rain in 24 hours. That's a 2-year storm. That happens,
A lot.
once in.
Have you checked the grades? Have you checked the grades at all lately? When's the last time you checked the grades?
UMass Amherst actually did a study, 80-year data collection of all rainstorms at different points throughout the state. And in the 80 years, there was something like, there's 30,000 days or something like that, and 10,000 of the days had a rainstorm event. So, but 1 in 3 days it rains out, on the average. So about 100 storms a year we have. When I say a storm, it means it rained out in that 24-hour period. It could have been a trickle. It could have been, a sprinkle. But if it rained and it accumulated 1/10 of an inch in that rain gauge, they call it a storm. Of the 100 rain events, 98% of them were less than 2 inches of rain, which isn't even on. That's not even a 1-year storm. 1-year storm is 2.5 inches rain in 24 hours. So if you have 2 inches of rain or less, 98% of the time, it means only 2 storms are higher than that. 2% of the storms are higher than that, which is 2% of the.
So where Hearst is settling on the left and becoming swampy, what can you do?
I can take a look at it, but
Yeah, we haven't looked
it was a natural grade, it was there, so.
Is it still a natural grade or was it?
And the vegetation being gone isn't gonna help.
Yeah, it was all wooded when they bought the house. I think it was intended to stay wooded, 30 feet back, but it was supposed to stay. No
It's
touchstone.
within we measured it.
I'm 180 something feet off from the post, yeah. So that means you're about.
So this is the as-built. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. 1 second.
And there's still like a lot of vegetation. We didn't cut down every tree. There's a ton of growth. Like if you look, it's a lot of greenery. Our neighbors on the other side have some trees. So it's not like at all bare.
So this is the 100-foot buffer. Can you see my mouth? Yeah, you can. So that's the, I can
what house
also,
is that?
zoom in. This is 3 Oakland Terrace.
It's the one at the end of the hill.
Correct. So this is the drainage outlet that we were talking about. This is an old plan as well. This is the as-built plan from I don't know what the date on this is.
2021 maybe?
Correct. Almost exactly.
Oh, we have the new one.
No, this is just, this shows the buffer zone, so that's why I have it up. But, so anyway, again, this is not what it looks like right now, but for argument's sake, the water runs down
Don't throw here.
and all of this brush here was cleared. So this is more or less where the water is flowing. Would you agree?
And, you know, this is a 2-foot contour, so each drop is 2 foot lower, but I won't say there's not potentially a small pocket in there or two that fills up.
Do they regrade it?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. This is from 21, so
This is the
2 years ago.
as-built from 2021 for just
They
this.
did do something down. Yeah, I don't know what they did, so I.
So this area here has been cleared
On her lot.
on 3 Oakland Terrace, yep, on Lauren's lot. So this area right here. Can you see
So
that?
as of right now, 2 is kind of working, right? You're just, because of the last storm, it worked as expected, but you're asking, hey, let's, before we sign off on this, let's give it a little bit more time because
Correct.
we
We wanna make
only
sure
had
that
the
it's
one storm.
functioning.
It just happened last week.
Also, I
All
found,
3 houses own the retention ponds once it's
We're all
flipped, so
responsible for this
all
one.
invested in their.
And tonight isn't signing off on the as-built.
No.
just to let you know.
No, but we're talking about it, so it's
Yeah,
brought up,
I'm
so.
saying, so I don't want them to think that
So-
this is happening tonight.
no, and by all means, and
Yeah.
making sure
Yeah,
that we're,
I just want you
we're
to
on
know
it,
that
so.
that's not what happened, it's happening.
Um,
Yeah, thank you.
Do you mind if I show you a video real quick? So you can see it?
No, but I'm still trying to understand. Did you regrade that area?
We didn't get a chance to, because what happened was we literally got like a handful of trees cut down, and then a few days later, the
It's when
emergency
pulled.
thing was pulled. And it was like almost laughable, because like we just spent thousands of dollars cutting these down, and then it was flooded, like horribly. So we didn't finish the grading project, we paused finishing it because we've been getting water since every time it rains.
That's right, so did you guys say you are or are not getting water in your basement?
We have them, but we're working with the Derulos on that. It's a different
issue.
issue, yeah.
Where's that coming from?
It's a foundation window issue.
I was gonna say, probably it's.
It's been, yeah, they
It's
took
not
out the
a,
window.
it's not a, like a groundwater or, any of that type of thing.
They've been very responsive with it.
Yeah, I'll see the video.
But this is previous to anything that,
Right,
from
so-
the piping.
So if you look
Can you hook
here,
that up to that?
Where the pipe was put in.
If he logs on to Zoom and then.
No, forget it, we'll-
All right.
Screen
so
shares.
before they put they make it smaller, that was letting everything through.
Joe's like, he texted me.
Since then, they put some foam around it.
He's actually showing a video, I think, from.
And from there, it's
Yeah,
supposed to trip up.
but like,
Not to that deep. So if you had all the other water.
They were
plus
unbelievable.
That water,
And that's like the
it
thing is,
was making it really bad.
every
So
time we
you really,
Because
Is it what's happening?
Just like our
That's the
best.
second
You're-
pond.
You know, everybody.
That's the inside of the second pond pipe,
And that's why
That is
every
pond
like
to-
we're working with them, like I don't wanna like.
not the second one that goes across the street.
no, that one was not working because it was draining so fast.
I can't get over those rocks though.
And then from.
But it's all fixed now, right?
I think it's working now.
Yes.
I think it's so is.
But my question is,
The ask is
Still gonna have water.
validate that it's working, but is there also an additional request to like
It's not a normal.
rating that
yes,
was
so
washed
if you
out?
look here, you just follow the water, and again, this is August 8th, this isn't from the storm. You just follow the stream, going all the way down.
You have a walk up.
We do, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, such.
There's a bunch of like stones and sun.
You couldn't stone in front of the, in front before
So
that.
that's not near the problem?
That's
No,
steep.
it's the other side,
Oh,
which was weird. We were really glad that it was.
yeah.
That's what 42 foot.
I know somebody had to walk
The
out.
house had was, yeah.
Coming back in by 3.
So what's that, is that a steep grade or is that?
So the water, basically, when it comes out of the basin, it's like it's like a hole, if you will, and once it reaches there, then it goes down there, and you see the rocks, and then it slivers its way, and then it goes
Yeah.
Playroom, which is their basement.
So,
Oh,
Showed you on that.
So there's the fence.
yeah.
and there's the fence, yeah.
It's weird.
That's
We're in California.
Not a very.
This happened.
I know.
Throw it away or just.
Right there.
Mudslides.
Is there a way?
We're lucky.
We had a lot of stone there and
So the design of the stone on front of the floor bay is to slow that water down.
Yes.
So what it does is pulls up and then it filters through.
Originally, we had it.
I'm not an engineer, but I've done
Originally, we had holders
We've had.
all around the front.
Now, where are you?
And so the rocks were,
Yeah, like 3
You know what?
stone. 4 stone.
If you're driving towards Carter.
so what they did was they went, they put the dirt around it, and then they put the field stone, like the little, I got stone.
So you on Center?
You're on Salem.
Oh, Salem, so you go past,
Catch it,
go away.
slow down a little bit.
Well, there's the,
There's like a
community
auto body.
center on the right, right?
There's like a
One
auto
is-
body shop,
Yeah.
four-way stop.
So it's slowing down.
By,
You go through the four-way stop towards the
Yes,
house on the left.
oh, you want.
It's jagged, so we also have,
New homes in there?
That's us, yeah.
There's 3 new homes. in
Yeah.
there.
and coming children within a half-mile radius that would be around, so.
With the stone, so, again, I'm
And
not
that's
an
where we asked,
engineer.
but that's where we asked if the pipe could just go all the way through to go where it needed to go, and then we got told no. And I don't know why the answer no was there, but we just got told no, so if it's.
Again, we're not engineers, so.
Where's the,
It wasn't on the plan, right? That was it wasn't on the plan.
but it also says that when you look at the original plan, it doesn't show that it goes here and it was once a million storm that it goes over to the other side and it actually happens. We had our once a million storm,
We got it refinanced, but 2 points up.
we're having more and more, so now I'm worried about the erosion part.
Yeah.
What eroded it was
I knew it had to be.
one time event, which isn't really how it's supposed to operate, right?
So once it's stabilized, that'll be it. There won't be any erosion.
Yes, that's
Well,
on
the grass will slow everything down.
What was eroded has to be fixed, it's gonna keep going down to that same.
So, Dina, you guys gonna fix his,
Yeah, so once we get this, storm, detention pond fixed and working, Steve has spoke to Brian several times and told him he'll come and take a look and see what needs to be done.
cause it's kind of a weird situation.
I really don't
Yeah.
know exactly what it looks like, so I can't tell you, and Steve's been out there a lot more, and he's talked to Brian several times, and he has told you
It's
that.
definitely like a civil thing. It's not up to the board
No, no.
to, you know,
But one thing.
you agreed that they're
transpired-
gonna fix it.
Yes, agreed. One thing transpired from the other, so that was just kind of my,
I was just trying to get to the point was, after you put the pool in, you got 4 inches of rain. Was it the pool company that didn't stabilize it? Because sometimes, you know, you gotta go back to your pool company.
no, I'm gonna
You
tell
know
you.
what I'm saying?
now the
But she said-
One that blew it out.
She said they, you know, they pulled out the pond, so she agreed to fix it, so I think that, check that box for now, again. But as far as, in discussion with the board, they fixed the pond, as far as like extending a warranty, like, we're gonna get another inch plus rain Friday.
I think they just wanna see that it's working and through.
Yeah.
I mean, given the history that it, like, one storm maybe isn't enough to feel comfortable, like, I would wanna see it working consistently.
Right, I don't think it's a
So the
board
point, I
issue.
think also the point of tonight is we're not signing off on
Correct,
final
right.
plans. That's not why we're here,
Having the
but
conversation.
you just
is all.
letting us
Having
know
the conversation.
what's going on, the updates.
Yeah.
And then I also wanna know, cause I didn't come up there, so just curious about where the water's ending up, so we're getting the water from all of the retention ponds, even when it is working properly. Is that where it's supposed to be? Is that how it's going to be moving forward?
Honestly, that's my concern, so my concern is that are we comfortable signing off any kind of bond reduction when it doesn't look like the water's working, drainage is working?
I think by law, we just have somebody. So,
If items are complete, we were required to sign
we're
off.
glad it just-
Well, as Dina mentioned, TEC is retaining that money for that one retention pond.
So Bill, is that designed to spill in front of her house, or is it designed?
It's designed to spill to the left, on that left-hand side of their lot, where they cleared. It's supposed to drain down to there and then continue draining down to the left.
Yeah.
There's a-
That's how it was approved.
I mean, at this point, if they haven't done any grading, the clearance isn't affecting the water level.
Clearing always affects,
Trio.
cut trees down always.
Well, prior to that, before it hits her, I mean, as you see it running under her
Yeah,
fence.
the runoff from the pipe is supposed to go down through the front lot to the back lot, where the fence is, down in the fence and then down to their lot and then out to the.
But you would never plan for it to be a stream of water, constant stream of water. I mean, you'd want to slow it, hopefully by fixing the rocks and that would slow down,
Not even pond work.
barring any type of 7 inches in 1 hour kind of thing. But that water
Actually-
flowing like a river
Try to-
under her
It
fence.
comes out, they try to use that riprap to slow it down, and then, yes, over the lawn, or the subtle swale, it's supposed to spread out and actually be.
Right,
sheet flow,
natural.
not concentrated flow. You know, concentrated flow will cause erosion, the sheet flow where it's wider and spreads out will, you know, once it all stabilizes and everything, we had a couple of storms like, hey, when the thing was not working properly. I was there when they pulled the thing off, it was like, yeah, it rushed the entire basin, filled empty and went right down. Through that. Typically, it's supposed to come up over the top of that and, you know, filter in some of the water through it, but that whole basin's supposed to go down slowly after it stops.
I just
Not
don't,
dump once at all time.
I just don't remember signing anything or seeing anything that said the water would be going out there anyway though. So like, I don't remember that being part of the,
No, so on our agreement, when we signed that back area, the basin was for once in a century storm, if both filled up and it went down, that then you would have water. But again, it's hard to justify because the retention pond was holding the water for too long of time. So they came in, they fixed it, and then it was over, then as the person that comes out, the third party person that comes out says, it went from one extreme to the other, so now it just dumped it all out. So we haven't really had a chance to see it work the way it's supposed to
I've seen it
work.
work once. Yeah, I think there's, you know, I agree, yeah.
And there's not gonna be any bond reduction on that
basin,
on that basin just yet. We won't release the funds until we know it's working properly, so there's your insurance.
And again,
policy there.
to keep in mind, just Chris, because I know you weren't here with the planning board when this was permitted, the back of lot 2 was, you can see on the board, was supposed to be woods. The outlet pipe was supposed to go right into a wooded area. And then from there, you can see what the proposed grades were, no matter what, I mean, water runs downhill.
Right, and this is, you can see,
And lot 3 is just downhill of this, but the wood and everything there would have helped with, you know, the dispersion like Bill was talking about. Obviously, that's not the case, and we're looking to fix that now, but water runs downhill, so, well, no, you didn't sign anything, and it's not part of the
But
drainage
also
system.
there was no woods when we purchased the house, all the woods was gone.
No, I'm just
There's two
explaining
little
what was
trees in the
approved by the board and what this was originally designed to look like.
Right, but then it was changed.
No, I understand that. I'm not denying that. We have some board members who were not here when this was permitted, so they don't know what it was.
right, but it's important to note that that's not how it was when we
No, of
signed our
course.
purchase and sales, moved into our homes. So the expectation wasn't, oh, a forest will collect wood because it wasn't there anyway.
Because when you get this maintenance agreement, it's in the deed, it's a reference to number something. So again, not being able to take this up and fully read it and understand it because it's a piece of number of docket.
document.
Oh, 100%, I agree. So
We're not lawyers.
No, not by all means. So this right here has all been, this was all here gone. There was like 3 or 4 dead trees here that I ended up clearing out. It was all rotted. But this area right here where it slopes down, right in this area, it all comes down and it sits here. And then eventually it goes where it needs to go out into BC.
Yep.
So this right here is a flat spot. So where they built the septic system, it goes from there and then it curves down.
Right.
So this all right here is curved. What they did was they took some trees out and they did the same thing that I did was I cleared all this out and then I basically took all the poison ivy, I had it hand raked and taken out, and then I added vegetation to this. So from there, they were looking to do the same thing right here within measure. And obviously they didn't take everything out. If you go out there, there are trees, but they were looking to take the dead wood out, the poison ivy, something to have it there because again, that it's usable space. I mean, I would use
It's
it.
like the only flat part of my backyard, right? So that was a thought for it.
So can you refresh my memory, because I remember that where it says lot 68F, the clearing where that was all wooded area, that's a significant amount of wooded area.
Are you talking about right here?
Yeah, that whole area, that was all
It
wooded.
wasn't all wooded, no, there were,
Okay, but it
there
was
were
supposed to be.
definitely some trees in there.
But there was
A lot of-
supposed to,
yeah,
this is all
yeah.
supposed to be a wooded area
Um,
on the, based on the plan, right? That's our line, right? That's where the vegetation line would be, not cleared
the tree line.
tree line, yeah.
The canopy.
And it wouldn't be open
That was a tree
space
line.
behind it, but it was clear. Did you guys clear that or did you guys cleared it? And I think we had a
I cleared it
conversation.
pretty much like this.
it went that way instead of having all this, which would be a barrier
Give them, well,
to give them, absolutely, I understand. Yeah, absolutely, I understand the
And then
problem.
we replanted trees at the.
And you
board.
read, and, okay, on here, all right.
that was the agreement at the
Okay.
time it happened.
Is this outlet here still have the big stone, the big riprap there? Does that outlet or no? Is that the one that he just showed?
Yeah, this
Okay.
was originally, it was like a
Huge
wall.
riprap rock. It was big. It was large. And we actually talked about extending it a little bit or something at that time. I forget what it was exactly,
The
but
pipe was extended a little bit, wasn't it?
not the pipe. I think the rock, I think
Maybe when
around the
the
rocks, we put,
smaller rocks,
would we
they
put
the
vegetation
smaller
around it
ones,
or something?
Made it a little bigger.
All right, did you put vegetation around it on the edge, outer edges? to
Over some
protect?
rocks, right?
That was,
I knew it's a little different. It's as shown on the as-built now as opposed to that.
Yeah.
Originally it was this and then it went.
I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it looks like this now. It looks like,
It's all on
looks like
record.
that now. It's a little smaller, area of riprap. around it.
of actual riprap.
Yeah.
So it's not just.
And the grades, I think the grades are raised on this side, so it was built up a little bit and then some stone right around that little.
So. As a board, what do we wanna do? Motion for,
Yeah, I think we're gonna. The recommendation is to release the bond on the lumency and erosion control. Basin reconstruction is still ongoing, right? So we don't release that.
even for the homeowners that showed up tonight, you guys are on record. You don't know what you said.
Yeah.
And what needs to be done. And we're not gonna release any funds until we know that it's working perfectly over there.
The common thing is we just want this fixed.
And it sounds like, you know, the DeHulu's are gonna do the right thing and fix.
Yes.
I think
So you're gonna,
It's good that you guys are working well
Right,
together. that
right.
You guys have communication.
Yeah.
Because it could be the other way around and no one's talking to us, no one has a clue.
and once it's stable, it should be,
I'm sure, yeah. What is no fun?
yeah, once it's stable, it should be okay. And I use that word should, because I think Sam went out and the whole hillside went down on a existing piece of property. So there, you know, it was like a mudslide. But again, we had 100-year storm events in like within 7 or 8 days. So, does somebody wanna make a motion to,
I just don't understand what this is.
release the bond for the bond reduction? TUC recommends, following site security amount.
Yeah, which one am I looking at?
We are looking at July 17th, TEC.
So they're recommending
On the bottom,
A reduction of
$15,180.
53,920.
53,920. 53,920.
We're holding 15. Yeah,
We're holding 15.
Oh, we're holding 15.
yeah, we're holding 15.
Yeah, right.
180.
15,180.
And that is for the
Retention pond,
retention bond, the basin reconstruction,
Yeah.
retention bond, and
This is one, two,
I will make a motion that we accept the bond reduction for the recommended amount of 53,920 and with the remainder of $15,180, and that pertains to the basin reconstruction.
Do you have one more ask?
Well, I made the motion. I made the
Yeah.
motion. I'll float that motion and then you know, wants a second, then we can, have a discussion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John?
Or knowing what is left to do, they're comfortable that that's enough.
it's already actually been done, and now it's just a matter of monitoring it and making sure that it continues to work.
And you can't, you have to release the funds. You're not voting. What are we voting on? I mean, we have to vote.
That's my thing too.
That's it's a formality, basically.
I mean,
It's the,
our other avenue would be getting another engineer in here to argue with TEC that it's not the case.
What I'm hearing is it's fixed. There may be some erosion that has to be repaired.
Which they're going to repair.
And other than that, we just kind of wait it out and see if it works properly, so.
And if you wanna get another engineer in there, what's gonna be the cost?
Yeah,
What's the time for the same end result? Okay, motion passes unanimously. In one more,
Yeah, one more ask. So, this is again, looking at the street, depreciation. So as they went to work on the beginning of the road, because that retention pond also had to get bigger. That actually,
fix the road? Where's the road?
so my ask is to make sure if there's any more machinery that going in there, that someone looks at there and validates that the gravel and the pavement is correct before it's signed off on ours. So every year I look at a road depreciation value, being that all three of us have to fix the road. We're all required to fix the road. It's a private road. So my ask is, because it says literally right on here,
But the road has to be built to a standard with equipment, you know, so.
well, if it's gouging and they have the bobcat and it's turning in circles and it's shooting the asphalt, then I would say that right there says that it needs to be fixed. Technically, we don't own it yet, but we'd like it fixed, or to have it looked at to validate that it's not gonna fall apart or anything of that nature, anything that's been driven on the side of the road where gravel is, washed away, packed. My ask would be that it meets the measure that of what it needs to be, as we're gonna take responsibility.
You're talking,
Same as a retention pond. We own it all.
I think, are you talking at the beginning of the road or?
Beginning of the road and basically where my driveway and the road starts. So basically where they had to go back into the retention pond, I don't know if it's a bobcat or it's the digger, but basically they're putting plywood down on the street. So there's big turn marks in there. And if you look on the side of the roads, there's pieces where it's been chipped and it's away. So again, my ask is that it's fixed.
Do you don't plan on doing another skim coat or anything on top of this?
No, it's already got a
On
five.
top
There's already got 3 in one project, right?
Everybody's been living there for over 2 years. They're not the only trucks that have been out there, but I understand the board has to look at it anyway.
Pool trucks that are out there, I mean, that's a hard ask, I mean, we've got a pool put in, I'm just saying.
I had a pool put in that was dropped, but I also,
You have tree people in there,
I had a tree person that goes on my driveway, and I guarantee if you look at my driveway, it will not look like the road. I have camera footage from 3 years out, I have no problem just
I'm
releasing.
at the point where it's kind of, that's a civil
Yeah, I mean,
homeowners association.
If you guys are gonna pass the road on us and we're gonna be responsible for it, it says right there that the road be brought up to 100%. That's all we're asking for.
But you gotta understand, if this was a brand new subdivision, right?
Which is,
And nobody's been on it yet, and the problems that arose, if, I believe it was, the Dabco was was the side guy on there. And nobody I'm just saying, this is just my personal view. If you didn't have any other trucks, and this was a week into it, Dabco came in there and chewed up the road, it's gonna be on Dabco. But since it's been in operation for 2 years, and again, this is just my take. There's been tree trucks in there, there's been pool trucks in there, there's been delivery trucks in there, there's been UPS and DHL and FedEx and Amazon who can't drive and,
I agree with the Amazon part.
so.
But that you can see visually where, if you look at the very beginning of the road, from where they fixed the retention pond, at the very end, there's a lot of things that have been nicked, dinged, and basically there's chunks out of the asphalt.
have you talked, again, I think the problem is, right, and first let me say, I don't disagree with you. Before we take possession of something, it should be in, we'll say, proper working order, for lack of a better phrase, right, to go straight. But it's been 2 years of inhabiting the neighborhood. Again, we're not lawyers, but I would think there would be a burden of proof at some point that it wasn't a pool truck, it wasn't a tree truck, it wasn't a plow removal, it wasn't snow removal, it wasn't, anything other than the actual, retention pond, company. Right, and again,
You can literally see the circles
Right,
That would be from a,
but again, playing devil's advocate, how do I know that's not the,
I'd be happy to show you the video.
but and again,
So I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I think it's something that you might wanna just work with them on it. Just see, as I read it myself, that number C that you have circled there, I disagree with how you're reading it. The way I read it is the lot owners are responsible for 100% of the cost of the maintenance of the street, including without limitation, maintenance of the street surface and removal. It's just calling out that you're responsible 100%. It doesn't say that you need to have a perfect driveway or lot 100% done when you take ownership, because you already own it, right? I don't see it.
If my tree guy came in and put a big, huge thing in there, I would be responsible to fix it, agreed?
Correct.
So same thing could be said, right? Because the road hasn't been signed over to us yet.
They don't know.
But they don't know yet, but that's not what,
I'm gonna let you guys work that out. I think that's a
Yeah, I don't know
civil.
if it's an issue for us, but I get where you're coming
I
from.
know, and I get what you're saying.
Likewise.
But I don't read it the language the same way as the 100%. It's just saying you're responsible for 100% of it. Not whereas it needs to be turned over to you at 100%, which I think is what you were kind of pertaining to. But I understand those swirl marks from
Let's
those.
call it 95%, let's call it 90%, like.
So those swirl marks from a loader or
Bobcat.
it's probably more so, it could be an excavator,
Yeah.
it could be, from front end loader, backhoe, bobcat, but even if you have a forklift, right, those, or a lumber, those things do a number, right, they can do a number. So I hear what you're saying, but that's why I think maybe if you talk and see what the deal is, I don't know. I'm definitely going to take a ride by your site and take a look at all of it, just to.
I went out to locate that trench, that PVC pipe, the perforated pipe that they put in, and they had the machine there. I believe it was a rubber track, like a mini excavator. That they were trying to not make too many marks on they wanted the smallest machine possible. They were only digging a 2-foot wide trench, 2 foot deep, so it wasn't like they had to have a major excavator in there.
yeah, I mean, I'll also say too, it's not, I don't know that this is the place to debate whose truck went where, I mean, if it's something that you feel strongly about, I would suggest you retain counsel.
My only thing is just going through the three boxes. Retention pond's fixed, backyard's fixed, road is up to par where it needs to be, and then it's signed off, and then we're responsible.
I think TEC's review says it's up to par. Otherwise, I think would have mentioned was
He's
an
not
issue.
even necessarily asking for something to be fixed, he wants confirmation that the condition that it's in is problematic.
Well, yeah.
For like a lengthy time, so
You move to the as-built, and I believe TEC reviews the as-built, so there's also takes a look and see what.
Right.
When the as-built gets
wrong, what's not right, and he would say something.
Right.
His job for the town, to look at that after it's done and see if it's appropriate.
But now at least it's noted as we come forward and go forward to an as-built final sign.
Yeah, I
So
will
thank you.
also make sure TEC specifically makes note of that when they're out there. It's extra on their radar as well.
I just wanna ask one last question. I feel like the subject got changed a little when I was asking about just where the water was settling. I understand in theory, if everything's working, it won't be coming out of the spot, but is there anything that should be looked into with that, or I heard Annie say, well, there was trees cut down, but I feel like I was sort of dismissing. I mean, if you guys came to my yard and you saw, you would say this is pretty crazy what it looks like and what's happened. So I'm just curious what the thought is.
I think after the erosion problem is fixed, and it's operating the way that it should, is it still happening or not? I think right now it might be happening because of the erosion that took place, right? So I think you have to fix that, and then you have to monitor the pond and make sure it's working over a period of time, and see if it's continuing to be that.
That's what I was hoping.
Because it's not supposed to happen at all. Correct. If any water does get there, it should continue to pass through into that wetlands, and that's the whole.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like misunderstanding, because I felt like I said something and then Annie said, well, they cut down trees. Well, but it still is, that should make it easier for it to go straight then.
It is the recharge that the trees provide in their.
The trees do.
I still have a lot of trees.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but in that area specifically, there were trees there. I mean, I've been out there multiple times, and the lack of the trees there it does affect. I mean, I see it throughout sites throughout town. So
I think we cut down 4 or 5 trees, I mean, it's telling you, it's not like we bulldoze trees.
No, and I'm not trying to say that you were, I'm just,
But I would suggest that maybe until everything is verified and done, and we're happy with everything, that no more work is done back there until things are.
Until everything's
Oh,
released.
No, we paused, the second it flooded, I haven't done anything, I just wanted to make sure I was heard, because I felt like we sort of moved on to something quickly, and everything's coming to me. So as long as it can fix from the top, then it won't
So
happen.
again, I don't know what you did or what the disturbance is, I haven't been out there. Maybe the silt fence and some hay bales
I had a though.
to stop, you know what I mean? If erosion,
But
I don't know if you're cleared or,
I don't have any hay bales, I mean, we certainly could, but it would be up against it.
I don't know what the disturbance is.
I think we
If
just
any.
wait
Yeah, I think
right
we
now,
need to-
see, we're gonna continue to monitor it.
Yeah.
Once we get through the winter time and that you get a rainstorm on top of the ice, where you have the ground, frost, it doesn't let it drain, and then you just kind of see where it goes from there. I know, remember, in the front of your house definitely had a pond in the front, and you don't have that anymore.
We still do, but it's not as close to the house as it was, the pipe under fixed.
Okay.
Like closer to
I don't remember watering it back before, but
yeah.
it was only the front of the house.
I remember when the rain.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's all cleared up for now. So let's open, we got Benjamin too.
Benjamin is Benjamin on the same?
Yeah. So we got an up, 38 Benjamin Street extension, update request for bond reduction. So the TEC report shows contact changes, erosion control, room seeds, stormwater, electrical connection fees. Current site security amount is 125. Recommended site security reduction is 39,000. Leaving on the table for site security amount 89,920.
Going off the June 6th.
sorry, so
Oh, that's
this
okay.
one again, there is a June 6th one and
Ah,
a
sorry.
July 25th one.
I was gonna say, those numbers don't check before.
Yeah, no, yes, they were not adding up. Dina pointed it out before the meeting, and I'm very grateful she brought it.
So this is
July
the July 25th
25.
one right here.
July 25th.
So and here's your overall.
Thank you. Well, those numbers changed.
They hadn't received a bond reduction prior.
All right, so we got paving items, stop sign, street sign, stop sign, drainage structures, drainage pipe, Peltac chambers, gravel shoulder, erosion control, loom seed, stormwater basins, electrical connections, the as-built plan. So that basically is done, right, as-built?
And actually, the street sign is up. I sent Annie a picture of the street sign.
Yep.
And I just wanted to ask, do you really think it needs a stop sign? Have you all been out there?
No, it's not a while.
Oh, I mean, it's 2 houses. It's more like a driveway. And
Is it in the plan though?
it's on the plan.
And it's, there has to be there.
Oh, that's just
Stick to the plan, they say, right, Bill?
weird.
It's on the plan, yeah. It's not on the ad, but it wasn't there.
It'll look odd.
What are you gonna do?
All right.
You have the photo of the, at the very, very, very back of your, it was an additional packet item that I added in, the picture of the street sign as well as the photo of the,
It's around, it's the same, it's basically the same. It's only 2 houses.
where was it?
It's on the back of Johnson Farm.
So one new house, the other one, now.
This one. Katie, do you have a digital copy that you can throw up
What?
of the picture that you can't find?
Give me a second.
So they're recommending a site security reduction of 75,920, which leaves 14,000 even on the table for.
Oh, this one?
It's actually more than that because, Tech had recommended a site reduction previously and the boards did not approve it. So the amount that's actually being held is 125,000 still.
Yes, because yes, so you have 2 reports from TEC. There's one dated June sixth, there's one dated July twenty-fifth. We never acted upon the June sixth one because the board wanted to have the site visit. So TEC must have just not picked up on that when they ran their second site estimate for the July twenty-fifth one. So they begin with a total of, lost it. They begin with,
25, I thought I saw, right?
they begin with a total of 125, but they,
So the June sixth, I counted as three.
okay, yes, so they begin with a total of 125, but then if you look at their,
Reduction of 35,000.
26. Oh gosh, I've lost it, hold
So
on.
it's a slight reduction of $35,080.
Well, that didn't happen.
Okay, let me,
So it's actually, it should have said a total of 125,000 is the current site security amount, and the recommended site security reduction should be 111,000 to equal the 14.
Dina,
That still leaves the 14 there.
Correct, yeah.
yeah, so
Look at the math on this one.
I think he assumed it was already
it
done.
was, TEC wasn't aware that the planning board didn't reduce that original amount from June sixth.
So we're voting on two reductions, what we're saying?
No, we can do it in one,
But I need two portions.
correct. It can be one motion, but we are looking at two estimates from TEC. For
So we can do one motion, what's the total amount?
111.
What Dina said.
Tina, you wanna come up here and run this?
So reducing by 111 to leave 14 and
Correct, that is the end product.
You want, Chris, you want to go that motion or you want me to do it?
That's like you
You can do it, DJ. Since you skipped out on us already.
I was told to read it back.
All right. Make a motion to 38 Benjamin Street Extension to request for bond reduction of $111,000 even, retaining a $14,000 bond for that 38 Benjamin Street extension.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
You guys are done.
You know, I'll let you know when that paperwork's all set.
What?
I'll let you know when that paperwork's all set.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conversation tonight. Appreciate it.
Very much, I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, we got, what do we got, an A and R, right?
Sign, so far we have to sign 2 reductions, all the stuff we have to sign.
Correct. And
That's
then
it, right? Just those 2, Oakland and 38,
Oakland and 38, yeah,
as of right now.
as of right now. This,
So I'll float a motion that we will sign both the 38 Benjamin Street Extension and Oakland Terrace bond reductions at the end of the meeting.
Everything gets signed at the end of the
Everything gets signed at
meeting.
the end of the meeting.
Everything's signed at the end of the meeting.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One passes too. It's a passable night. 350 Center Street, A and R, Form A application. Bill Holt is here.
Are you? Have the big plan. That was my old.
you do have the bigger plan somewhere. It's in there.
Put sticky notes on them next time, please.
I highlight for conservation, I can do the same thing if you
Oh,
want.
wow, that's messed up.
Who's going to play?
There we
Match
go.
that play on there.
It's actually Brad's fault because he went out of turn and everything was all in order.
It
That's
was
fine,
on,
DJ, I remember that.
That's all right, you
There's
can.
no more motions for you, brother.
Good luck with that.
Motion denied?
350 Center Street, moved by Richard Subat, who's present. Surveyor,
That was 8 acres, wasn't it? Was it 8 acres?
19.6 acres total. Total area, fully split.
Phil, just to remind you that we're on that speaker tonight, it's a little bit different, so
Oh.
if you can.
Bill wasn't here.
Oh, he
That's
wasn't?
the only
Oh,
speaker
that's right.
system we have tonight, so project.
Over there?
No, no,
They're really not up
No,
there.
no, right here.
Yeah, that's,
It's only the TV that can hear us, so.
yeah, sorry, Bill wasn't here, don't.
Sorry, yes,
So
you're right,
it is 19.6 acres total area, with 300 feet of frontage, 300.93 feet of frontage currently. Mr. Subash would like to split it into two lots. 11B, which is gonna be the new lot, and 11A, which is the remaining area. The remaining area will be 15.3 acres with 150.73 feet of frontage on Center Street, which is where his driveway is currently. His driveway is right here, existing house is right there. So he has frontage and area to get to his current house with his driveway. And we're gonna split off lot 11B, which would be 4.2 acres, which is this area here, 50-foot strip coming down to a wide area here with 150.2 feet of frontage on Center Street. The proposed driveway coming through, looking around 2 feet. Wants the proposed house to be in the back and side of the hill. We have septic down here, it's not proposed well.
This is all deeded land here, or is that a right of way?
That's gonna be his
That's his property.
This property.
So this is a lot within a lot, and it works, I guess, according to the new bylaw that was approved by the Attorney General.
Correct. We just heard back last week, I believe, from the Attorney General regarding our zoning bylaw changes, and they approved all of them. I put in that article so you have the language, because it's not yet in our E-code, so not in those binders yet, so you have the article. Yep, yeah. You have the article in front of you with the new regulations.
So to be perfectly honest with you, if you do the map, the ratio map that they proposed in that new bylaw, which is take the perimeter, square it, perimeter squared, divided by the area, you have to have a ratio of less than 32. A perfect square, which I show on here, a perfect square of 30,000 square feet is 173 change by 173. A perfect square is the lowest ratio you can get. Square, perfect shape. That is 16.1 if you do that math. So I think what the ratio shows is you can allow the actual multiply by 2, get the 32 in your higher ratio. These lots, as they are, they're large lots, a lot of perimeter. You don't meet that regulation, they exceed it. It's covering the 60 to 50 ratio. But there's a clause in your bylaw that says if you can show on the lot an area of CBA is equal to the lot area required, 30,000 square feet, and that area meets your bylaw ratio.
It's a
then
lot
the lot
within
is
a
good,
lot.
and you don't have to worry about permit ratio. So that's what we did. We basically showed this was here. I could have put it up here. I could have put it down here more. There's a couple of spots where that square would have fit on the original, on the remaining one, 15 acres. On this one, they put up in here or there. It just had more area. They had 54,000 square feet of CBA with this shape, with that perimeter. And then you do the ratio, and you get a ratio of 25, which is below the 32. So both of those shaded areas are the areas on the lot that conform to the bylaw, which is what your exclusion says, what your section says on the bylaw, to allow the ratio to be higher. I think that must be because of the fact you have a larger lot like this, you may not meet the ratio. But you clearly have the area to build on that larger lot. In 4.4 acres, he has the area to build. He actually wants to build a house.
I haven't said that.
And I actually commend the commission, I was the board, on this new bylaw. I think it's old way of doing things. I think it makes sense. Thank you. It's a method we can use to show how this works. Yeah. I also want to bring up just a footnote. Paradise lot, corner of Wish Street.
Yeah.
Southern Star, and you guys had mentioned you thought they were irregular. Check for the bylaw, it meets the bylaw.
I thought that was more regular than that. So, and I said it. This was the first one too, I said it.
The first A&R we.
But what did I say? I said, somebody's gonna pick up and somebody's gonna give you what you didn't want, and here we are.
I know.
This is very similar to the lot.
I think it's hilarious.
But it does work. The lot on,
No, I'm sorry, on
Savory. Savory Street.
Your own game. The
It was
circle,
created about 2 years
give
ago.
me the circle.
Oh, that one, I'm sorry.
It's very similar to that. It looks
We
like
have the
that.
circle.
Nope, we're not doing that anymore.
I can put the circle on if you want. So,
Just pulling around.
Honestly, with the old bylaw, the circle, you have a much stronger argument, more clear argument. You could put a million circles in those.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if
was
you
just
look
a-
at our old bylaw, if you look at
Or,
our new bylaw, this would be
I like this because it's mathematical and I can show you that it works.
agreed. And that's one of the things that we were looking to do.
I don't
Nothing you can do about it,
Create
Chris.
a bell travel, me.
I'm gonna
That's
fly
what
out.
I was thinking, they do not.
Is the existing drive going away?
This drive is there, it's actually right away.
It's a
right
right,
away.
yeah, it's an established right of way with deeded access, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
it actually was my parents' driveway.
Was the original driveway for the house, but it's there originally.
This one, this one.
Yeah, it's the original driveway location. House, it used to be right there, something. But it got taken out.
That was, I remember that house, was it Brown, was it Brown or something?
My parents' house, yeah,
Yeah, right up on the hill.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to, I bum it out because it's gone. I wanna put another one house back, but a little further. I mean, it's for myself. My daughter's gonna take over 350 and I'm gonna,
Right, Steve's true.
I'm not building it for a reason, I'm building it for myself. And the neighbors are all, oh, yeah, you know, I told her I was gonna do a section 8 up back. And they were like, oh,
Condos.
yeah.
Sure you don't wanna do a 40B back there?
You guys, there's 10% already now, right?
Yep.
With the new project. So
Yeah,
that's out, but, yeah. No, it's just my own,
I don't have any question, but that's.
You know what, I don't see a problem with this. Does anybody have any discussion? Beat out of one game.
I just hate the lot shape.
There's nothing you can do about it.
So much.
So I'm gonna fly a motion, we approve the, A&R for 350 Center Street. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next up, we'll sign it, we'll sign it after.
You pick it up from Annie.
yes, because I need to get it timestamped with the town clerk
Yeah.
and she's obviously not here anymore.
Any more or just tonight?
Just tonight.
Thank you.
Sorry.
thank you, people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich, I should have this ready for you tomorrow.
Oh, great,
Just give me a call, so I'm not out doing something.
thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Just move by the channel. I was looking before.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Beating your own game.
No, I just love the timeline here.
Community Preservation Commission.
It would have been allowed.
Let me do, I'll do the meeting, you're out about it right now.
It would have been allowed.
Community
Chatting it up.
Preservation Commission, appointment of a board member.
So,
No,
the Community Preservation Commission is made up of appointed representatives from different boards throughout town. Jim Bogiages had been the planning board's designee for the past 2 or 3 years, I believe. He's no longer on the board, so we need to appoint a new person to the CPC. It's pretty low commitment. It's usually about only 4 meetings for the entire year. I believe they generally meet on Tuesdays. For folks who are not aware of what kind of CPC does, they approve, or they don't approve. They recommend projects that people apply for CPA funds, so Community Preservation Act funds. So certain things that have been funded through that are, I'm blanking, of course, preservation efforts at cemetery, that was funded through CPA funds.
the whole thing, we voted on a bunch of times.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes, yeah. So what the CPC does is they process those applications, they recommend them to the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Board. So
I nominate Wally.
he used to be on it, I know.
Seconded.
Well, then.
I mean,
No, seriously though.
John?
Do we know if Wally wants to do it again?
Well, it's been a while, right? Because Jim was doing it prior to Wally.
yes, I don't know how long it's been. It was prior to me working for the town that Wally was doing.
Wally did before Jim, so. Wally has a hard enough time getting here on Tuesdays, let alone to add an additional.
Would you like this?
I don't mind, sure. I'll add it. I'm stepping down from something else that I'm doing, so I'll have a little extra time, get me out of the house.
Oh, do tell, what do you say? All right, so, done.
No, wait, no, we need a motion.
Oh, we got a motion.
Unless anyone else wants to go.
No, I motion
It's yours.
DJ.
I'm on enough votes.
Me too.
Jones?
What? I'm on the master plan steering thing, so.
Which I will be discussing.
What's this?
So we nominate,
Have at it.
we nominate DJ for the Community Preservation Commission.
I second that nomination.
All in favor? Aye.
I accept.
Motion passes. Congratulations, DJ.
No, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Updates and discussions.
I'll just wrap this into my, town planner update.
Just toe.
It says toe.
Oh, dang it. I
We should have a
received,
tow plan.
sorry,
We should have a tow plan.
no, I don't have one of those. The police department does. So to start, 912 Salem Street, the property behind Nicole's and Groveland Gas. I just received an application from them yesterday for a site plan review for contractor units. So think like large scale building, office door, bay window, multiples of those for, plumbers, electricians, stuff like that. I have already reached out to TEC to get a scope of work for them because just under the assumption that the board would like them to review. They are going to have to file a full notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. If you take a look at the way in which our stormwater bylaw is written, if you look,
The books are here.
yes, they are. So if you take a look at section 5, applicability. In addition, authorize blah, 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 blah. Stormwater discharge resulting from the above activities are subject to jurisdiction under the Wetland Protection Act and designate compliance with the Mass Stormwater Management Policy as reflected in an order of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission and contains an approval for stormwater pollution prevention plans may be exempt from compliance with the review process of this bylaw as determined by the planning board or its authorized agent. Upon submittal of the following formal written request and a formal written request, copy of the Conservation Commission's order of conditions and approved plan, and a copy of the SWIP plan. So they will be getting a full order of conditions through the Conservation Commission. I don't want them to obviously go through approvals for stormwater twice because that's asinine. So that just needs to be ironed out a little bit more. Yeah, so just, I'm under the impression because most of the stormwater structures are within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction as well. It makes sense for the Conservation Commission to permit for the stormwater and land disturbance of this project. This is not a decision we are making right now. It's just something I am making the board aware of with this project. It's not something we generally see, where the Conservation Commission will be the ones potentially doing stormwater. I will note if almost every other community Conservation Commission permits stormwater management and land disturbance. We're kind of unique in that it's the planning board who does it. Just to note, I don't know why
We've been doing it for forever.
No, yeah, it's just if you look at other communities in the Merrimack Valley, I was speaking with MVPC about it. We're the only one whose Conservation Commission doesn't do stormwater. Normally it's,
Makes sense for that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we're the ones doing it right.
Wow.
I don't know.
That is coming down.
Water issues, I don't think maybe not.
That is coming down the pipeline. Another thing, you received a meeting invitation for this months ago. The joint Board of Selectmen and Planning Board meeting is this coming Monday.
Woody, what?
The joint Board of Selectmen and Planning Board meeting is this coming Monday to discuss the comprehensive master plan. It begins at 6:30,
You said something to this hour, like 28, right?
the 28th.
Yeah,
6:30. It's only gonna be 15 minutes long. The chair has limited it to 15 minutes. The
What
chair
about
of
this
the Board of
chair?
Selectmen has limited the presentation on the comprehensive master plan to 15 minutes. The consultant is very close to a final draft, which will be, at that meeting, they will be doing, a quick, overall presentation of it, and then at that meeting, we'll be making live a link to do one final survey on the final plan. So prepare for a slew of emails from me to encourage you to look at it and take that survey. But yes, that is this coming
are we
Monday.
first on the agenda?
Yes,
How was the meeting on the 27th?
I actually wasn't there. I was very sick. Yeah, it killed me to not be there. I'm not that type of person.
So did we get an update from them, any type of literature
That,
on that?
that's 150 Center Street, not the comprehensive master plan.
Oh, okay,
Sorry, but,
apologies.
no, you're good. I'll get. to
Yeah,
that
I'm
in
talking
a
about
minute.
one thing.
But before the meeting on Monday, you should receive it'll be a meeting packet like I normally send out to you, but it's just gonna have one item in it, basically. So yes, that is Monday,
Monday's comprehensive, not 150.
correct. And then in regards to the 150 Center Street, project, I was, like I said, not there. But, further discussion, they looked at different conceptual plans, going from absolutely no impact to kind of the most impact and what people felt about it. They are going to be compiling kind of a final version of that. The project's coming to a close anyway, so a final report will be coming. They will be at Groveland Day, September 9th, as the final kind of community outreach. I believe the plan is to also have 150 Center Street be at the September 11th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'm not positive about that, simply because I was kind of out of the loop during that time period because I was again sick. So I'll let you know when that gets solidified. But as far as updates, it's more or less all I got.
You sure?
No, but I'm gonna leave it there.
Are we, so I guess we'll help you Monday next week.
Yeah, again, it should be very quick. And I do believe the Board of Selectmen does Zoom hybrid if you're only able to attend via hybrid.
That's what we said.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair?
so the 15 minutes is just for their comprehensive plan demonstration.
Presentation again, because yes, correct, because the planning board will, once we get a final draft, will have to do a public hearing, notice in the newspaper, notice to surrounding communities, and it will have to get formally approved. Once it gets formally approved, it gets sent off to the state. Like there's a significant more amount of process and public input, but this is, a lot of people watch the Board of Selectmen.
So is that just to us to listen to the plan and then say, okay, thank you, or are we going to debate the plan?
Well, yeah, do we get to have input in the plan?
You will, certainly. This is a presentation. Again, like I was just saying,
So
Is there a follow-up discussion
There's no
with
intent
the,
for discussion.
you don't know?
I don't make the
Gotcha.
agendas for these. I do not know. Rebecca, I believe, sets those agendas. Today is Tuesday. I believe she sets them Wednesday or Thursday, so I'll be able to send those out once I have it.
The rest of them actually.
We just don't send them out. Or it's like with us.
Yeah,
Until the end of the week. But again, for comment, they will be putting out a survey, and again, a full public hearing needs to take place for the comprehensive master plan.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to talk about it still.
Thank you.
Only one opportunity with the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, this is our first.
I would say that, when we first started talking about the project with a consultant, while the planning board is kind of the ultimate authority for the comprehensive master plan, like legally, they're the ones who approve it. Like with anything, it's always good to make sure the Board of Selectmen's on board as well. So, an unofficial kind of endorsement of the plan, I'm sure we will be looking for from them once the planning board is on, we've made a decision, so.
I encourage people to go watch it, because it's gonna be a colorful meeting, I have a feeling.
Here's a debate.
Very colorful.
And yeah, so next meeting is September fifth.
So, okay,
I will send out,
Okay.
next meeting, September 5th.
yeah, I'll send out my usual.
Mr. Chair, do you have any other items not easily anticipated?
I don't have anything. Anybody? John? DJ?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so motion to adjourn, 8:45 Tuesday night. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.